Okay, yesterday we began the Takanas of Usha. Usha is one of the places Sanhedrin was in exile. It was in Usha. We saw the first Takana was that Ketanim should be supported, but the father has to support the Ketanim. The second one is the person writes all his nechasim over to his children. They have to support him. And we're up to the third and probably the most famous Takanas Usha. We're up to Nun Amid Aleph, right? We are 3 lines from the top. Amra Baloi. Names are important. Amra Baloi. Usha Hiskinu Hamevazves Al Yavazves Yosim Chomish. A person wants to literally scatter his money, overspend. Do not spend more than a chomish. Says Rashi. What are we talking about? Hamevazves La'aniyim. Mashma Rashi. That was speaking about the tzedakah. Mevazves. You're going ahead and you want to be exuberant in giving out your tzedakah. Do not give more than a chomish. Do not give more than a 20% or a fifth. Maybe you'll have to come on to the brios. Maybe if you go ahead and you give so much money, maybe you'll go out and you'll need it yourself to tzedak yourself. There's a ma'aseh with an individual who wanted to go ahead and give out more than a chomish pashas of tzedakah. Umanu Rabbi Shevov, and who was that person who wanted mevazves? Is Rabbi Shevov. Rabbi Shevov was the one who stopped him. Rabbi Shevov was the one who wanted to give out. And not let him. Umanu, and who was that? It was Rabbi Akiva, right? Rav Nachman, Vitim Rav Acha bar Yaakov. My crow. What's the pasuk that al yivazves? You should be mevazves more than a chaymesh. That says v'chol asher titein li aseh menolach. That Yaakov Avinu says to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, whatever you give me, I'll give what. I'll give to you. I'll give my son to you. Or if you take out, I think this is Rabbeinu B'chaisim. If you take out Ephraim and Menashe, so he gave Levi one son, 10 children. So he gave one children to Surah Kadosh Baruch Hu. A double. Once you give the first Maisa, the 20%, the next the amount you're going to take is not going to be Maisa, right? It's going to be less. It's going to be less. It's going to, of course, you're going to have you're going to have 20% less. So Rav Ashi asks, Asrenu Lebasru Kikama. The latter one should be as much as the first one. In other words, proportionally, whatever it is, it should be a fifth. Whatever it is, it should be a fifth. So this halacha of Al Yivazeh is a very famous halacha, in fact, and this is a very famous question on it. So the Gemara, we're all familiar with the Gemara in Daf Lamed Hey in Yuma. It says that Hanarabana Ani v'asher v'rasha boin ledin. The ani, the usher, will come in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. La'ani oimrim lo, to the ani you say, why didn't you learn? In Oimer ani, you see, if he says I was an ani, the Torah I was busy getting my food. There was no one more than Hillel. He would go ahead, he would be work and he'd make a tapatik. Guaranteed it's not a lot of money. Half he would give to the Shomer Beis HaMedrash to get in. One for himself is his house. So we all know the end of the story, right? He didn't have money, went to the roof, but the snow. Okay. The question of the hour is, how is he allowed to do that? How is he allowed to give that money? You know, he shouldn't be able to be Vasiyas Mechomish. So what? Okay, so let's see. So there's a sefer called Avos Chesed, very famous sefer from the Chofetz Chaim, very famous sefer from the Chofetz Chaim, and in the 20th perek, he has the halachas of being mevazes for tzedakah. So Isa Kesuvos Hiskinu Chazal Beusha Hamevazve Al Yavazve Yosem Michaimesh Shem Yitztarach Lebrios. Now, the question is, so l'chayra, if they came up with this in Usha, Hillel was before Usha. Hillel was before Usha, right? So what kind of kasha, so l'chayra is not a kasha. And Rabbi Kiva says that in Usha, that they brought it back. In other words, that was takana, they didn't originate it. It had been forgotten. Or else it's not a kasha from Hillel, right? It had been forgotten and it was brought back. So unless he's an asham muflig. The guy's an asham muflig. if he's an unbelievably rich person, he could be Mivasi Yosef B'chaimish. Because the whole reason is you're worried that he's going to come out to the Brios. When we hear of these guys go broke, you hear of Reichman, like Elena lost all his money, right? What did that mean? What did it mean? I mean, it was like you and me. It wasn't like you and me. He wasn't like Reichman anymore, but he still was a millionaire. When you hear these millionaires go broke, what's his name? The people who were in Edmonton, they lost a lot. They lost all their money on the Mall of America. The Persian family, whatever the name is, not important. They still have money. Again, so these people are not worried about it. Start gymnasium. You're not. These people are not like us. And so I have a chavus who's a very wealthy person. He told me still hey. He tells me he gets more than a chaimish. He told me. He told me. I didn't ask him. He told me. So this is speaking because it says there's a reason. The Gemara says Shemi Yitzdarech Lebriyai. So if you're not in that, first of all, so if you're an Asham Muflig, it doesn't apply, right? Yeshaimim the Hadam Minan Ali Vaser Zaysim Chaimish Hainu B'Sharoitzim Atzme Lachapesh Achraniim Lachalik and Tzedakah. You're chasing after them. Avul Kshebo the fun of Aniyim Re'evim. If Aniyim come in front of you, they're starving. Or Yareimim or Mamish without clothing. Shu Chayiv Lazbiyam Lachasis Mirumeim. He's chayiv to satiate them and cover up their state of unclothedness. Kashamar Torah Daimach Sora Sheyechsaloi. Oy Sheyiru Shevuyim. You see they're captive. Shu chayiv v'toisam kashetziv Hashem Yisbarach. And over here with Son Limit, this is even more than a chaimish. That would be more than a chaimish. So in this case, the Chafetz Chaim is saying that there's that. However, and Midas Chasidus, so it's a Midas Chasidus to go ahead and do this, to go and if they come to you and they're in that state. However, Vidal Demashes Kinu Chachamenu Zachronu Vracha Shlo Yifasi Yazim Chaimish nearer the Hainu Dafka Kishmavasers Nichsei Beisai Al Yidei Zeh Apizer. He's going ahead and he's just scattering it out indiscriminately. Kidamash Meloshan Mavazvei. Avu B'Dov Muet Kigon Sheyesh LeEzim Malacha Oy Esek Kavua Shemistakabo Kedem Kiyasai Kol Shavua V'Yos Ma'at. Let's say he has an investment and every week it comes in. Then Mutaloi Lafaza Hayosel Tzedakah. Then you would be able to. In other words, when we say that Mefaz Yes B'Chaimish is you don't know where your next meal is coming from. You just happen to have the money. You win the lottery, don't give away the Chaimish, right? You win the lottery, you don't give away the Chaimish. But if you have a steady income of investments, then Pashtas you'll be Yelting Mefaz Chaimish. Why do we need to know? Without oid, the Chalika Takana who listam tzedakah. Aval Achzakas HaTorah, V'Machzik Torah, Matzdik V'Sefer Shid Hugevetzes. It's Mitzadeh in the Sefer Shid on Kesuvos Nun Adaf Gemara. When it comes to Liman HaTorah, then we don't say you should be Mevazil Yosim B'Chaimish. The Chaim B'Din Achashav Ezeh Yesh Chelik B'Schar Terasai, because you have a chelik of the person's schar, right? The relationship is between Yisachar and Zvulun. You have to treat the Zvulun has to treat the Yisachar like himself. So that would answer the question from Hillel. That would answer the question from Hillel that what Mevazil Yosim B'Chaimish does not apply when it comes to Achzakas HaTorah, learning Torah. Then you can Mevazva Yosim B'Chaimish. This halacha, Usha, famous halacha, it does have what? It's not carte blanche across the board. It depends upon different variables. Whether aniyim coming to you, you're going to the aniyim, whether you have a set, you have an investment coming in steady, or whether more importantly for Matan Torah. For Matan Torah and Schar of Torah, then it would be you would be permitted. Here's the Gemara. Now, the first takana, guys, was about the Ketanim. Now, what was the Lashon? The Lashon was Amar Rebbe Loi, Amar Reish Lakish, Mishum Reb Yehuda Bar Chanina. So three people. Rebbe Loi saying the name Reish Lakish and the name Reb Yehuda Bar Chanina. Good. The second one was Hakaisis Nechasav. That was Amar Rebbe Loi, Amar Reish Lakish. The third one was Amar Rebbe Loi himself. So progressively you went down from 3, 2, 1. You went from Rebbe Loi to Reish Lakish to Rebbe Yehuda Bar Chanina. Then you went from Rebbe Loi to Reish Lakish, and now notice that Mevazil Yosim B'Chaimish is Rebbe Loi himself. So the Gemara gives a siman. So Amar Rav Simi Barashi u'shmuas halalu mismatos v'holchos. The shmuos they get mismatos, they get less. V'holchos and they go. Why are they getting less? You began with the shem 3 Amoraim, then 2 Amoraim, then 1 Amora. The simanayach and the siman is ketanim, kisvu ubizbizu, right? Ketanim that you have to support the ketanim. A father can't be a deadbeat dad. and kisvu, right? If you write over the chasim, your son has to support you. We have a third takana of usha, but this is not written in the Shem Rabbi Loi, guys. A person should misgalgal with his son up to 12 years. Rashi says, what does misgalgal in beno mean? In misariv yililmoid, if the son refuses to learn, yilgalgal imoy benachas ubedvorim rachim. Then you get up to 12. Don't shake your head so quick. Up to 12, okay, you'll be nice and everything good. Yeah. Now listen to this. We can't elach after 12. Yored imod l'chayav. Says Rashi, break out the old strap, or the old belt, and not feeding him. Can you imagine? Imagine the old school. You're not learning? Boom. Any is really so. The Amalei Rav Shmuel Bar Shilis, or Shmuel Bar Shilis, guys, was very famous Malamed Tinaikis. So Rav said to Rav Shmuel Bar Shilis, Batsimi Bashish like the Kabel, less than 6, you shouldn't accept the yeshiva. Bashish Kabel, after 6, accept him yeshiva. The Safile Ketura, and shtup him like an ox, feed him like an ox. In other words, mamish stuff the Torah down as much as possible. So you see that why you don't wait till 12. Now the havmina is that like an ox means you're gonna beat him, like you're gonna treat him roughly, not in a kind magago. So no in Safile Ketura, one is not the contingent upon the other. It's true, stuff him like an ox, miu ain't yoredim welechayvam ad leacha shnei mesas shana, right, until 12. But again, Safile Ketura, that's 2 different things. Feeding him like stuffing like an ox and treating him harshly to learn are 2 different things. Like kasha ha mikra ha lemishna. Depends what you're teaching him. If you're teaching him mikra, I guess you go in kindly, but mishnah you would go in a very, very strong manner. That's the way I learned. Let's see, and I spent a lot of time in this. So yeah. Okay, so yeah, huh? Yeah. Okay, so if Mikra, you again until 12 years old would be from the Mishnah would be, I guess, after that time. It would be, I mean, I don't know how he's learning over here. I don't know. I thought let me see the way he's learning over here, so we don't give you a wrong shot. What's the misachis? Okay, so 1 second. Me that the Rab said the name of Shmuel Bashilis is Dafka Lemikra. You stuff him like an ox by a mikra, and that we said Lemishna. The Kinuch Usha is Lemishna. Okay, so in other words, it's 2 different things. Stuffing like an ox is referring to Mishnah, to Chumash, and to treat him in a quiet way with Mishnah. And then when he gets to 12, then you break out the strap. The Amar Abaya, Amarli Aim, Rabbi was raised by his nanny. By Sheish Mikra, by Esel Mishnah, by Tlisla Tinus Meisla Ace, and 13, already going to be 20, you're going to fast 24 hours. Before that, it's going to be Lefi Shois. Ubetinaikis Bash Tresa, 12. Amar Abaya, Amarli Aim. Hay Bar Shish the Tarkale Akrava, this 6-year-old that was bitten by a scorpion, the Yuma the Mishlam Shish on the day that he becomes 6 years old, Lechaya, he can't live. Mayas Vase, what is the cure? So it's very funny. He can't live. What's the cure, right? So Rashi says he won't be able to live unless you give him this cure. Without this cure, what's this cure? Is Marasa de Daya. It's the boil. Rashi says of a daya is a vulture. Rashi says so. Vavshin test of a vulture. And chivrasa, a white vulture, the shikra in beer. The shafi, you rub it on him, and the shkaya, you give him to drink. Taisus says something interesting. Guys, look at Taisus. What's the cure that he won't bite? In other words, this is what you won't bite. Why? He's not going to live. Mashma, they didn't reform my eldest life. So it seems Taisus is disagreeing with Rashi. Rashi is learning that he won't live unless you give this cure. Taisus is learning, no, with the Gemara's mashma, if he gets bitten, he's dead. This is to ensure, this is a preventative measure. He would take this stuff and rub it and ensure that he won't get, it would be preventative, that the sting of the scorpion would not kill him. None of these things famous Shuvas Maril. We don't. Bisman said we don't know any of these things, so we don't do them. But we don't do them because we're not exactly sure of what exactly the ingredients are, what type of bird is it, and what kind of beer is it. Says the Gemara. Haibar Shish, the Tariq Zibur is bitten by a bee. Biyuma the Mishlam Shais, the day that he's a year old. Lechai Mayas Vase Atzvasa the Dikla B'Maya Neshafia V'Neshafia. You take the best of a dekel tree, put it in the water, rub it on him, and give him to drink. I'm Rav Katina. Kol Machnes says Benoy Pachas Mivet. Kol Machnes Ben Benoy Ben Sheish. Anyone who puts his son to learn less than 6. Rotz Acharav. The Eina Magia. You'll run after him to keep him healthy, but you won't be able. It won't help. In other words, Torah is going to be machash as kayach. He won't be able to go ahead and learn. Ikad knows Chaveirav Rotz and Acharav. His Chaverim will chase after him. They Magia, I said they won't get to him because since he started learning at such an early age, he'll always have a head start. The Travayu Isnahu. They're both correct. Cholish, he'll be weak. Vigama, but he'll be learned. He'll be learned. Iba is saying, had the kachish, had the bari. One first part speaking about a weak person, one speaking about a healthy person, you can go ahead and give him to learn. Amr V'Yasir Chanina, Ba'ush Skino, another takana nusha. If a woman sells the nichsei miloig, b'chaye baila, now the baal has the paris, guys, right? The baal has the paris, and she sells it. Umesa, and she dies. Habal moitzi miyad al kuchas. The Baal will be able to take it from the kuchas. I have it in like a shibud on it. Ashka chaser of Yitzchak by Yosef Rebavahu, the Havi Koi Bechlusa the Usha. He was walking with a large amount of people in Usha. Amalei, my Morid Shmaitza the Usha. Who's the Morid Shmaitza who is saying over the Torah in Usha? Amalei Rabbi Yosef Bechaninu. So Rabbi Bechaninu said that the Baal B'Nichsa Isha is considered a lekeach. So Tana Minyana Arba Zim. He learned it from him 40 times. The dummy lake came out the month later. Kisase was like Mamash, he had it in his passion until he had it in his pocket. It says the Ashrei Shomei Mishpat Oisit Tzedakah B'Chaleis. Fortunate is the Shomei Mishpat Oisit Tzedakah B'Chaleis. Now, how is it possible to do Tzedakah B'Chaleis? Chiev Shalasit Tzedakah B'Chaleis. Shedosh Rav Seinu Shebi Yavne. Now, this is not Usha, but the Rabbanon of Yavne, they went ahead and they darshaned. What did they darshan? He supports his children when they're ketanim, right? Which is, as we saw, guys, yesterday's mitzvah tzedakah. Guys, we spoke at the Rambam, right, and the Gemara. Even if it's not, in mechuyev al mezainis, it's not ergo than giving tzedakah to somebody else than to your own child, right? So therefore, Rabbi Shmuel Bar Nachmani says. And that's the people that tzedakah is b'chaleis. You support them when they're younger, and even though you're not mechuyev to, and then you marry them off. Another pasuk, it says hoin v'oishe bebeisai b'tzidkasvei medes la'ad. So he has hoin oisher in his house, and his tzidkas stands forever. Right? What does that mean? He does tzedakah and nothing's missing. Rav Huna Rav Chisda. Right? In the Kaim Hoin Vaish by learning Torah, and Tzidkasle Mendes La'ad is by teaching the Torah to others. So it's there all the time. The Chadam one says Zes HaKoisiv Torah Neviim Kesuvim U'Mashiach Lacherim. That the Hoin Vaish is that you write them, and Tzidkasle Mendes La'ad is you lend them out to other people. Another pasuk brought down in the name of Rabbi Shmuel Nachmani that he explained. My song, right? Since you have children and grandchildren, your son has sons, there'll be Shalom Yisrael. You won't come to Chalitza v'Yibam. In other words, Chalitza Yibam does not lend itself necessarily to what you could have fight. So now, what's Yibum, right? So why wouldn't you have fight? First of all, you have children. You won't have an even situation, right? So the Ben Yehuda says that there's no shalom b'chalitza because she has to spit in front of him, which is derogatory. There's shalom b'yibum, And even if you do yibum, there's no shalom. Why? Because it's balkarcha, it's against the will. So therefore, if you have children, you avoid the whole issue. In other words, what would be the problem of yibum? I should say yibum. I say what's good. What would be the problem with yibum, guys? With if there was no kids, so do chalitza, do yibum. Chalitza, she's spinning at you, and yibum, maybe she doesn't want you. So therefore, by having children and avoiding the whole issue, you're great. And the list in Vayonim that they shouldn't have to fight. If there's children, there's no question about who's going to get the inheritance. When there's not children, then there's the problem of getting the inheritance and everything. But until then, as long as there's children, it's not a problem. Okay, we said the Mishnah. Zeh Darish. What did the Mishnah say, guys? Yesterday, we said that a father is not mechuyev to go ahead, right, and the girls get from the estate, right? Oh, after the father dies, they get from they have to go to work, but after the father dies, they get from the estate. Why? Because that's when the children inherit. So I spoke out yesterday when it says there's a Tanai in the Kesuba that says the sons inherit and the girls get satiated. We spoke out that this is speaking about Kesuba's banim dichrin. This is Kesuba that banim dichrin. Tanai Kesuba. A man, he wants to get married off his daughter, he's going to be a little hesitant going ahead and writing a netunya, a dowry, because lest if his daughter dies, then it's going to go to a stranger and get passed down. So he says, in the written Kesuba, any male children that will be lechiminoi, they're going to inherit the Kesuba of their mother.
That's in our
Kesuba's funny. Well, I don't know about it. I told you once, if I ever get called up for Kriyas Kesuba, I would walk out the door. My biggest pachet, I go to a wedding, they want to give me a keyboard. The biggest pachet is what? You're going to call me up for Kesuba. I got when they called up the Eliezer, and my heart dropped, and they said Epstein. Like oh gosh. I'm good at holding the wine. Anyway, so yeah. So this is a very nice gemara. So now we have a hekesh seemingly in the Kesuba between Bonim and Bonois, right? When did just like the sons inherited after death, so too the girls, they could sustain after death. Yosef Rav Yosef Kamei Rav Nuna, Yosef Rav Nuna v'Kamar, a very ambiguous term. Kishem she'ein habonim yorshim, kishem she'ein habonim yorshim elam min karka. Just like the sons only inherit karka, kachein habonos nizonos elam min karka. Now, if one inherits their parent, they only inherits karka. So they inherit metalton also. So the people who heard the statement of Rav Hamnuna, they began screaming. The shavik ara who the yarsile baneha, the le shavik ara lo yarsile baneha. Let's say you just live metalton. They don't inherit metalton. They don't inherit the cash. They don't inherit their jewelry. Come on, of course they do. So Amalei Rav Yosef said Rav Yosef to Rav Nuna, the dilma ksubas banin dichron ka'amar mar. Maybe mar meant ksubas banin dichron, that the male children only inherit the karka, which is true, only karka. So now Amar Le, Rav Nuna said about Rav Yosef, man de gava rabba who the yoda my kamina. You're man mar is the gava rabba, because you know exactly what I meant. That's exactly what I meant. I meant that what when I said that the sons inherit the karka, the Kesuba is banim different. That's what I meant. I didn't mean the Yerusha. I didn't mean Yerusha. I meant the Kesuba. Okay, I meant the Kesuba. So now, Amar Rav Chiya Yosef, Rav Zon Mechite de Aliyah. Rav, it's a very ambiguous statement. Rav gave from Mizainis girls Mechite de Aliyah from the chitim, the wheat of the Aliyah. That's what he said. That's what he said. Now, we just said the Gemara that, guys, the Tanai of the Kesuba is where does the girl get supported from? Karka, only Karka. Good. What is Chita, the Aliyah? Pashtus, it's wheat, metaltlin. But it's not attached to the Karka. Everything, right? It's what? It's metaltlin. And nonetheless, Rav is Zon. So here's the question, guys. Was it a din of Mizainis? Or was it a din of Parnasa? Now, here's the Hakdam for Parnasa. A father will put aside in a dunya to marry off the daughter. To marry off the daughter, again, a dowry to marry off the daughter. Let's say the father's not around and the sons get it. The sons are also mechuyev to go ahead and put away in the dunya. And they'll evaluate what would daddy have given? What would daddy have given? What would our dad have given? Now that Nedunya is from anything. That Nedunya is from anything. That's called Lashon Gemara Parnasa. So the Shiloh over here is when Zon, the Chitim, was in Mitaris Nedunya, which therefore is not bearing on our Shiloh at all, or is Mitaris Mizainis, and then you'd see that Rav Kaskin, that what? Not like Rav Hanun's din that only from Karka, but even Metatla. So that's the Gemara Shiloh. Says the Gemara. Iboilu. Parnasa Have, when Rav gave the girls, was a Mitaris Parnasa, which could be even from Metatlin. And what is the Men Aliyah? Min Aliyah me Aluvia. Me Aliyah means like from the attic, literally from the house. Me Aluyah the Ad, from the best of the father. Okay, the Shmuel, Dama Shmuel, Le Parnasa Shamim Ba'av. Did I skip? No. Umal Me Aluyah the Av, okay, the Shmuel, Dama Shmuel, Le Parnasa, when it comes to figuring out the Nedunya for the girls, right, to marry them off, Shamim Ba'av, you evaluate what the Av would give, and ostensibly the Av is going to give from the best stuff to marry her off. This is also what Rav did. Right? Dilma Mizayne Mamish Have. It was Mamish Mizaynis. Umay Aliyah, Bidvarim Toivim Shenemru Ba'aliyah. From the nice words that was said in the Aliyah, Dam Rav Yitzchak Bar Yosef, Ba'aliyah Hiskinu, Shei B'nais Nizaynis Min HaMetaltlin. You can't be a father explanation, guys. In other words, if it's Mitaris Parnasa, so of course they're going to be Metaltlin. If any Nedunya, any dowry you're going to build clothing or anything you're going to give is in Nedunya. Or no, it's a Mizainis. And then we see Rav says, does not look like Rav Nuna, that you're limited to, like the Banim Dichrin is limited to Karka, so the girls are also limited to Karka. That's the Shaila. Okay, and that's the rest of the Daf. Says the Gemara Vaita. Tashma. Biyodei the Rav Benoi, Achua the Rav Chia Barava, have him Metaltlin. In the hand of Rav Benoi, the brother of Rav Chia Barava was Metaltlin. The Yasme, he was an apotropis. He was a caretaker. Asla Kamei the Shmuel, Amalei Zil Zain. Go ahead and give the girls from this Metaltlin. My lavlim is Zainei, Rav Yitzchak Bar Yosef, that he said in the Aliyah that the girls are Zon from the Tatlin. Sfirle, like Pasal Parnasa have. It's the Parnasa for Nedunya. Shmuel Tameid Shmuel the Parnasa Shamin Ba'av, and therefore you can give him a Tatlin. Have you the Ben Adoi? There was a court case in Adoi. We done the Daini the Adoi to give Metatlin to the girls. The Papadisa. Right, and Papadisa to give metalton to the girls. For Agri Rav Chana Bar Bizna, they collected from the metalton for the girls Mizayni. Only Rav Nachman Zila Haju go return it. Be Lloyd, if you don't return it, Magbina Lechula Pednaichum Minaichal, I'll cut your houses from you. It's not true. You can't go ahead and take metalton. You can't go ahead and take from metalton. It's got to be from Karka. So you see, not like that, not like the psak of the Aliyah of Rav Yitzchak Bar Yosef. Okay, and we have in Paishet what Rav's ambiguous statement of Zon Mechite da Aliyah. We don't know what he meant. Ravami Ravasi Saval Mezon Metaltli. Ravami Ravasi, they both held to go ahead and support their state from Metaltlin. Amalu Rabbi Yaakov Varidi, Milsa the Rabbi Yochanan Veishlakish Le'ovda by Uvda. Right? Milsa the Rabbi Yochanan Veishlakish Le'ovda by Uvda, Asan Avda by Uvda. They did not give from Metaltlin. You want to be chelik on the great Rabbi Yochanan Veishlakish? Rav Losa Saval Amazing Metaltlin. Again, Rav Losa wanted to go ahead and say shit from Metaltlin. Amlefana Reb Shimon ben El Yakum. Rebbe, Yodei Anach B'cha, I know you. Shei Midas Adin Atoisi. You're not doing Midas Adin for giving them from Metaltlin the Yisraelim. Ela Midas Rachmanis. It's Midas Rachmanis. Elo, I'm worried that Shema Yura Tamidim will see the Yikva Allah Ledoiris that when it comes to the Mizainis of the girls, you could take from Metaltlin. So in other words, you're not, like we spoke out, guys, you're giving me Tzedakah, right? You're not giving me Midas Chasidus. Who does the Kamei Rav Yosef Amalu Hovale Mitamei Dal Budja? Yosef said, give him from the dates that are on the mats. So Pashas, guys, the dates fall down on the mats, so that's Metaltlin. So Amalei Abaya Ilu Bal Choiv Have. If it was a Bal Choiv, Ki I Gavnem you have a Yovle. Let's see Rashi, guys. Ilu Bachol Have. 3 lines up. Klaimer. Afilu Bal Choiv. Sheyafa Koyach Lifrim Shuadim. Even about Choiv, whose koyach is, you owe money, there's a lien on your property, and he can go, anything that you sell, he can go collect from. Ain't a guy from Metaltlin, shall you sign him? He can't collect from these Taltlin, you sign him. Guys, we said yesterday that you sell the property, there's no shibud vis-a-vis the Metaltlin, the Zionist, there's no shibud. So the Bal Choiv's koyach in the property is bigger than the girls. Good. So the girls, you're saying, from the Talmud of Yisrael and feed them. If the Baal Chayv would come up, you wouldn't. It's a fair thing. How can they be better than Baal Chayv? So in other words, another way of saying that you shouldn't go ahead and give them from a Talmud. So Amalek, the Chazer Lebut Yokamina. I didn't see that's on the mat. I said, like, this is what you said, Avi. It's still on the tree. It's still on the tree. So it's still on the tree. It's a dinner karka. Right? The Gemara of an Aleph. Saif kol oimid legazes is kegazed dummy. Anything that is set to be cut is considered cut. So let's view it as metaltalin. Says the Gemara, no. It's tzricha ledikla kamina. It's still you still need the decal. In other words, it's not right that it's going to cut right away. It's still you need the decal. Now let's do one more piece. Who Yasam? There was this Yasam of the Yasam Yasam. They were katanim. The Yasla Kamei, the Rava, they came in front of Rava. Amul Rava, hello Yasam Bishvil Yisayma. Go ahead and give from the Yasam Bishvil Yisayma. Now, guys, it's a big difference. The boys, they get Yerusha, right? When they get a Yerusha, they get everything. They get the karka and the talfin, but the girls only get what from the karka. So you're telling the Yisayim to feed the girls, right? From even the talfin. Why? Because Rava is going about it in this way, right? Says Rava, hello Yasam, give a little more to the Yasam Bishvil Yisayma to give the Yisayma. Somebody Rava. But Marhu the Amid the Mekarkiv Lem Metatli, Bain Mizaini, Bain Lexuba, Bain Lapinasa. You said that when it comes to to collect the Ksuba or the Parnasa or Mizainis, only from Karka and not Metatlin. So how could you go ahead and feed the girls Metatlin? So who Rabbi told them, these boys wanted a Shivcha Mishamish them. Wouldn't they pay him? So Kolshkin Hacha Dikatarki. One is their sister, and two, the sisters are going to take care of them, right? These are going to take care of them.